Greetings all, praise the King. Welcome. This Sabbath, we come together for chapter 3 in the book of John, the Gospel. A favorite among many professing as Christians. For the verse 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, and that those that believe on him shall not perish, yet achieve everlasting life. The book's not known to have identified the authorship, yet many scholars point towards John the Apostle, the brother of James, son of Zebedee. In that, he was the one being referred to in the third person as the one that the Christ had loved, and the one that had leaned on the Christ's bosom as they supped before the Christ was crucified. This person is not separated or distinguished as the others had been by name. So, by process of elimination, scholars have agreed that this could be the author, the John the Apostle, they call it. Now, this is obviously John the disciple, and this is James's brother. Scholars have indicated the similarities between the what they call the little books of John with the gospel. However, the small books said to be written by someone referred to as the elder. So they distinguish this person now as John the Elder, which could be accurate in that person had written the small books of John. Now this would have been a student of John the disciple, who is also known as almost a surety to have written the Revelation, for he was imprisoned on the island Patmos after his brother was martyred. Now, this does not go to say though that this John the disciple had written the Gospel of John. The beginning of the book speaks directly about John the Baptist, all the way through the first chapter, referring to, and even as John the Baptist had stood with two of his disciples, it refers to that the Christ had joined those disciples at that time, after the disciples heard John the Baptist proclaiming of this Messiah, that he was there to prepare the way for. Now, it is said that one of those disciples was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother. It then says that Andrew went and got Simon Peter to say that we have found the Messiah. In the book of Mark, the Christ sees both these brothers together. then he says, instructs them to come and follow us. So is there a contradiction between these two books? Well, perhaps not if John the Baptist was standing with the two brothers on the boat as they were fishing, and Simon did not immediately hear his brother say that he was to go follow the Christ, and that this brother came to Simon. Perhaps they were on two different boats. But nevertheless, it may be necessary to clear this to the point where the book is titled after John the Baptist, because it begins to refer to as John the Baptist. So merely the so-called fact that scholars have identified the authorship as John the Apostle does not mean that the book is titled after him. Now, we have the first chapter and the second chapter of the marriage in Canaan. The water was turned to wine. And this third chapter, as the Christ speaks to Nicodemus, who is known to be a Pharisee or a ruler of the Jews. You know, the scepter was kept alive. The tribe of Judah was to remain. And therefore the Pharisees were considered to be Jews because they were a tribe of Judah. Now, the Christ begins to speak to tell him, unless a man is born again, he cannot enter into the kingdom. The Pharisee Nicodemus questions the Christ, saying, how is this so? The Christ said, if you not know of these earthly things that we have testified of, that we have shown you, then how can you know of this heavenly thing, like to be born again? You know, so that this truth that the Christ speaks about is one in which the followers of the Christ, you know, those that believe on him, and believing on the Christ is not to say, you know, I believe the Christ is the Son of God. It's not, you know, wrapping a Christmas present and decorating ornaments on a tree. And it's not, you know, to get a tattoo or to wear a necklace. It's something inside. It's not anything that can be judged by any man except for Jah. And so therefore, the power is given unto all those that believe. Even the Christ said that the angels would descend and ascend upon man. There's two parts to this chapter. There's the beginning with the speaking to Nicodemus, and then there's the part with John the Baptist speaking to his disciples. So the disciples of John the Baptist have now have told John about these performances of the Christ, and that John, and what is it that they should expect. And John says to follow the Christ, to follow this man. You see, John had gained so much of a following to this point that John's word was true. That people could trust what John said. Now John says a man could receive nothing except that it was given from above, in this translation heaven, or from a spiritual place. As the Christ spoke to Nicodemus, saying that the Spirit was as the wind, that you hear the wind, yet you know not where it comes or goes. And that is of someone who is born again, of water and spirit, and not of flesh. This water being a purification to make ready, as John the Baptist had made ready for the Christ, that dove would ascend unto I and I as the Spirit of truth to give I and I light, so that I and I can shine for all. Because even the Christ has said that he came not to condemn, yet to save the world. That is all that they come to know of the glory, of the majesty, of his imperial majesty.